Welcome back to episode number 10 of the Free Baseball Pod. It's been a bit. It's been a couple months since the last episode, or maybe a month and a half, but we're finally back and we are ready for the final 3 weeks of the season. We got a lot of stuff going on. We got MVP races, we got 700 home run chase, we got all-time home run chase going on. We're going to discuss it all in this episode. But first, Will, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Drew. It's great to be back. Like you said, it's been about a month and a half since we last recorded. We've both had really busy summers. Mine was a lot of fun. Yours was fun from what I heard. And I'm ready to get back going and get into this stretch run of baseball. There's a lot of good baseball all around in both the American and National League. And there's a lot of history that's being chased too as we get down to the wire. So I'm excited to unpack it with you all, my man.
Mm-hmm. I sure am too. And let's just get right into it. First order of business, the number one discussion of all baseball right now. Who who should win the American League MVP? Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani? Will, your thoughts first.
Well, yeah, Drew, it's a big topic of discussion because if you really look at Shohei and Judge and you break it down together, it's a close race. It's a very close race. You obviously have to bring in the pitching with Ohtani with a 2.55 ERA. He's 12-8. If he was on, the wins and losses don't really matter, but if the Angels actually like put it all together, he would be close to 20 wins on the year with those numbers. And that's just the pitching side. He's tearing it up offensively as well, doing very similar things as to what he did last year. He was a little weaker this year offensively, but maybe even stronger this year on the pitching side of things. So it makes it very difficult. However, Aaron Judge is having one of the best seasons from a Yankee of all time. He's on pace to break Roger Maris's home run record of 61 in a single season for any player who has played for the Yankees in their history. And Judge is, it's looking close and it's looking good. He could break that record. He could end up driving in 130, 140 RBIs, and there's an outside chance that he wins the triple crown. So it's tough for right now. Actually, not for right now. For the whole season, I've had Judge, and I'm sticking with Judge. I think it has to go to him for this year.
Will, I cannot I have a very unpopular opinion here. I've seen all over Twitter, everyone's like Judge, it's gotta be Judge. As one of the biggest Aaron Judge fans on the planet, I think Ohtani deserves the award.
I think it's hard though. It's so hard, Drew, because he's like he's not human. And there have been talks of like making another award. People have said that. It makes it hard to vote when you have a player like Ohtani in there. And you kind of just discredit what Judge is doing. He's having one of the best offensive, probably the best offensive season of the 2020 decade so far,
Yeah.
and it just makes it so tough. That's what makes it so tough. So how can you possibly not just give it to him? Because if Ohtani does this again, there's a very good chance that Aaron Judge doesn't do this again, but there's a good chance as well that Ohtani does
Is
do
there?
what he is doing right now. I think so. He's not even 30 years old yet. I think there's definitely a lot of room for Ohtani to continue at that pace. If Aaron Judge stays in the American League after free agency and has a good year, like not like this year, but a little more like last year that he finished fourth in MVP in 2021, and Ohtani has a similar season to this season. He doesn't even have to play like he did in 2021. If he has a similar season to this season, he easily wins the MVP without a doubt, obviously, unless someone has a better offensive season, more like Judges this year. But I think you got to go Judge this year. You got to go Judge this year.
I hear the argument. I think it's really close. I mean, a lot of people like to bring up the WAR stat because that is definitely does that value the give you the value of a player, and Judge has a 9.7 FPA.
Yeah, and he doesn't get that pitching more that Ohtani gets. He doesn't get that extra like love,
Judge has a
and
pretty
he has
sizable
over a full game more of WAR.
yeah. After last night, after his two homer game last night, he's at 9.7, and
He
Ohtani.
could get 11. He's playing that well. He could pass Mookie Betts's 10 WAR season from 2018 by a full win. That's incredible. That's so incredible.
I'm not denying at all that Judge might be having one of the best seasons. He does have, according to WRC Plus, he has the best WH plus of any player since Barry Bonds in 2004 with the
There
two.
you go. That was one of the best seasons of all time
Yeah,
by any baseball player ever.
and yes, I'm not denying at all. I love Judge, and he's obviously having one of the best, maybe a top 15 offense season of all time. But we've never seen. Not only have we never seen it, but Ohtani is a legit AL Cy Young. I mean, I don't think he's gonna win it, but he is a AL Cy Young.
Oh, he definitely has a chance. He'll probably get votes.
He
He'll
will get.
probably
I
get
think he'll
votes.
be fourth or fifth.
I could see that. I could totally see that.
Along with that,
Judge is he's breaking records as well. So Otani is doing that all the time, but Judge is also breaking records. So he's really giving him a run for his money.
yeah, Judge, no doubt, like obviously he's having a historic season, but what Otani's doing, he's arguably could make the argument that he's third for Cy Young. And he's also a top five, top 10 hitter in the American League this year.
That I agree with. Top three pitcher, no.
I just don't think the WAR stat really does him justice. Like he's an 890 OPS. That's like top 10 in the league. Along with being one of the top pitchers, it's really close, and there's really no definitive argument because I mean you never. But one thing I will say is I hate that a lot of people have been bringing up about Otani's team, which his team should not matter.
No, yeah, I know you like that. I know you like that argument.
I
I
don't
know
think
you
the
like that
team it's
argument.
the most valuable player. It's not the most valuable player on a winning team.
Yeah, but having the most value usually yields more success for your team. And now, obviously, the Yankees are a more complete team than the Angels. However, without Aaron Judge, this team does not win that division. They're not winning the American League East without Aaron Judge. He is pivotal to their success.
That is true. I'll admit that. But the Angels would be way worse without Ohtani. But it also doesn't matter because they're out of the playoffs. But still, what Ohtani does everything he can. He pitches once every 6 days, gives a dominant outing almost every time, and he's one of the best hitters in the league. There's not much more he can do for this team. He can't.
Oh, yeah. But so, it sucks. It sucks that it's that way, but it matters to me. It matters to me because the way that you play, if you elevate your teammates, and I'm not saying Ohtani doesn't do that. Obviously, the Yankees are much more talented than the Angels, but there's just something about that. Aaron Judge this year specifically has lifted his players or his team to serious heights. It's not that Ohtani doesn't do that, but most of the time the Angels end up falling short, even though he's given his best effort. So I understand your argument. I just still feel that when the team is successful, you should have a good chance of winning that award.
Yeah, I mean that's all I want to say. Besides that, like I just think the MVP, it should be an individual award, and the team should have no bearing whatsoever. And if we're just comparing Judge to Ohtani, I don't want to hear anything about how the teams are doing. Which, if it was team oriented, then Judge runs away with it.
Easily,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
All right, so then we're going to move on to our next subject, which is the AL Cy Young race. We're not really going to discuss the NL because NL Goldschmidt, Alcantara pretty much got those two locked up. So the AL Cy Young race, we did mention Ohtani, probably not front runner, the top three front runner.
He's top five though.
He's top five.
Top five for sure.
Yeah. Number one, we have Dylan Cease with a 2.06 ERA.
That's your pick. It's your boy.
That's my pick. That was my AL Cy Young pick. Got you. Take credit for that. 11.44 Ks per nine, 3.69 walks per nine, which a lot of people are talking about because obviously that's not good when you're a Cy Young candidate. In 162 innings, McClanahan with a 2.2, 2.56 xERA, 2.27 xFIP, 11.12 Ks per nine, 1.83 walks per nine, and 147 innings. He's presumed to be the front runner right now, and then we have Justin Verlander with a 1.84 ERA, currently on the IL. McClanahan's coming off tomorrow. 2.74 xFIP, 9.2 Ks per nine, 1.54 walks per nine. So, in my opinion, it's with Verlander hurt, probably not going to get much more innings, and the Ks per nine down, which I do value a lot. I'm going to have to go with McClanahan first, Cease second, Verlander third.
I think McClanahan is third now. I think that IL stint is going to hurt him more than it's going to hurt Verlander. And I think it hurts him so much that he bumps from probably first to 3 for me. I like Cease a lot here because he's going to pitch in a lot of meaningful games for the White Sox. And if he does incredibly well and he helps push this team into the postseason, I think that'll help him for sure. Right now, it's really down to Cease and Verlander. I'm going to lean towards Verlander. If he can give me 2 starts at minimum before the season's over, then I think it goes to him if they go good. Obviously, if he doesn't make at least 2 starts, in my opinion, and only makes 1, and Dylan Cease is really carrying the White Sox on his back, I think Cease is going to end up winning this award, and that's incredible to me because he's had a great second half. He flirted with the no hitter that got broken up with 2 outs in the ninth. That was awesome, and since then he's been just as good. Great pick by you too, Drew. That was awesome. But
Thank you.
I right now I'm going to stick with Verlander, but I would not be surprised if it ends up going to Cease.
Yeah, it's really hard because Cease obviously did have that amazing streak. I think it was 14, 15 straight starts with 1 run or less. And then McClanahan's had a very consistent season. Verlander really only had a couple bad starts. He hasn't been. I mean, he has a lower ERA than both of them, so it's kind of hard to say he has been as consistent. But all of them, all 3 of them, incredible years. I just got like McClanahan for the Ks per nine. He does have less innings, I'll admit that, but he will rack up some more innings because he come back tomorrow. And all the advanced peripherals, if you look at the StatCast, Fangraph stats, all those look much better than Cease and Verlander. So that's why I just got to give him a little edge.
You see, that's why we're talking about this though, because I said he's third for me, but still, if he wanted to, I wouldn't be like completely surprised. Would I be surprised that he would win it over Verlander and Cease? Yeah, absolutely. But if McClanahan ends up getting the Cy Young trophy, at the end of the day, it's still like, yeah, you know what? This guy was really, really good for the entirety of the season. And it wouldn't shock me. Whoever wins it, I'm not going to be surprised, but it's going to be very fun to watch to see who pulls out because this race is a lot tighter than people think, maybe. And it's been kind of low key. I feel like a lot of history in this year that we're seeing has been very low key. You look at the Dodgers, like they're going to win. They may win over 110 games in the most quietest fashion. Whoever's going to win this American League Cy Young, it's going to be in a quiet fashion. And I just find that really bizarre.
Yeah, which I mean, pretty much Judge Ohtani been overshadowing everything, and Pujols, which we'll talk about later. I think the one thing we can agree on is yes, I agree. I wouldn't be surprised if any of these 3 won it, but the voters are going to get it wrong somehow because they always do.
Yeah, there's always something. Something's gonna go down for both of those awards. One one is going to be something that everyone likes,
Yeah,
and then the other is going to be something that people are going to sit there and scratch their heads about. That's just usually how it goes.
yeah. I mean, Garrett Cole's already been robbed of 2 Cy Youngs, so I wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be like this big revelation because it happens. It's just how it is.
I mean, who knows? Maybe they're like, let's just give it to Ohtani.
That's going to be interesting. I think the MVP is going to be more interesting than the Cy Young, but the American League is so tight right now in those races. They're all going to be really fun to watch pan out.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited, as you said, to see how it pans out. Now we're gonna move on to our next subject, which is about what early last week during the weekend they announced this. So there's gonna be a few rule changes that were discussed before the season, but now they're official. And 3 big ones are the bases are going to be increased from 15 to 18 inches square, which is presumed to reduce collisions and increase the stolen bases, which should add more excitement to the game. And then the pitch clock, which is going to be 15 seconds with bases empty, 20 seconds with runners on. And then third one is the shift will be banned, not completely, but 2 infielders have to be on each side of each base, and they can't go into the outfield grass. So before I give my thoughts, let's start off with the bases. I don't have many thoughts on this.
Yeah, the bases, I actually really like this. At first, I was like, what is the point of this? Like, what are we doing? And then after about a week, when they first brought it up, when they were talking about the CBA, I was like, you know what? This really isn't that big of a deal. And it makes more sense. It makes a lot of sense. I think it was John Smoltz on MLB Network that was giving a demonstration of how much it's really going to impact the game. The 3 inches, baseball's a game of inches, and you're given 3 of them. That's actually a lot more than people think. And he was just on MLB Network. He was showing plays where bang bang plays where runners and fielders are going to come into close contact, and he was showing the difference in space that they have there. It will definitely prevent collisions at the bases for sure. And I think it's going to open up more bang bang plays because the base runners have more of a base to grab onto. They have more of a surface to grab onto or reach out for before a tag is applied. So I think that's really cool. I have no problem with it at all, and it's going to spice things up. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. Like increasing stolen bases, like I'm all for it. And stolen bases have kind of gone down recently
Yeah,
years, and so why not add?
just I like I said, I didn't like it at first because I don't like when they mess with the game like that. The little parts of the game that they mess with, I don't really like that. But this makes sense, and it has become so much less of a little thing to me that it's going to be good for the game.
Yeah. So that thing, I don't really have too strong of opinion. I do like it. Not really. Didn't really take look too much into it. I mean, not as big of. I don't think it's as big of a deal the other two. So the first one, the pitch clock. I don't like this. I don't think we should be putting a clock on baseball. Everyone always says with the great thing about baseball, there's no clock. Football, basketball, hockey, soccer, or whatever name it, there's a clock. I mean, maybe not bowling. There's no clock in that. Um, but 15 seconds with the bases empty when there's a lot of pitchers who take more than that, some taking up to what, like 22, 23 seconds. And I just don't think it's fair for pitchers who have been pitching for so long to suddenly mess up their timing like that. Maybe if it was like something you could be like grandfathered in, but also, obviously that would be really tricky to figure out. And then 20 seconds runs are on. Like I just don't like messing with, like you said, the natural flow of the game. And it will speed up games because minor league games have gone from about 3 hours to 2 hours 30 minutes, which could be good, but I don't know. I think in big moments you really need the time to settle down and like appreciate the moment, especially if the pitcher needs his time to think about what's going to throw. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't like it at all, Drew. I think it's terrible. It just doesn't belong in baseball. Baseball, it was always a sport without a clock. It's that in golf. Everything else, you're on the clock. And that's, as you said, it's the beauty of baseball that there's no clock. Baseball, what I was always taught when I was younger, playing in Little League, it's that it's for the patient athlete. You have to be seriously patient to be good at baseball or even tolerate baseball. If you want to be great at baseball, you have to have some incredible patience. And that's a skill in my opinion. If you can wait for success in your profession, that's a skill. And putting a clock in baseball prohibits that. It's all about rhythm and timing. And a thing that you didn't bring up that I really want to see what you think about is that I think it's more driven for the younger generation than it is actual reduction of game time, because they want more people or younger generations playing baseball. They want athletes playing baseball, and the more athletic players or athletes in youth sports come from basketball and football. Baseball has their handful, but they come from these other sports, and you want to see that. You want to see that in baseball. However, that just goes towards the beauty of baseball. How it's about the patience. It's not about how athletic you are. It's how you navigate and think about the game and knowing rhythm. And now that you're on a clock, it's more robotic to me. So that really takes out the authenticity of the sport, not having a clock. But it is what it is. Though we'll just see how it pans out. It's another, like, all of these rules, they're just going to be how they end up panning out.
Yeah, I completely side with what you said about younger generation because what do you hear these days? Oh, baseball's too boring. It's too slow. I can't wait in between the pitches. When I find that funny when they say that because football pretty much even more time in between plays. Like
Yeah, there's
30 seconds.
very minimal actual action in football.
Yeah, football is pretty much the same thing, except I don't know. I guess like I don't get it. And then basketball is obviously very fast paced. You got but then you have fouls that stop the game. You don't really have that in baseball besides pitching changes. So I don't know. I like for me, it's never been a problem. Obviously, I'm a big baseball fan. I think for most real baseball fans, they don't really have any problem with the pace of the game. It's just I think real baseball fans,
It's a
some have a
marketing
problem
thing.
with the
It's a
time,
marketing thing.
some will have a problem with the time, and then but people who don't watch, they're like, oh, it's too slow paced. So that's why they felt. I think it's always been a thing with Manfred ever since he became commissioner. Pace of play, pace of play.
Yeah.
We
Well,
knew
grow the game, get more people in with this rule, and then maybe they'll abolish it. You never know.
yeah.
You never
I
know.
think this will be a rule that will bring in more fans, but for the diehard fans, I don't think a majority of them will like it.
But they'll still stay with the game, though. They'll stay with the
Yeah,
game, and it'll end up working out. I personally don't like it, but it'll all be fine in the end.
yeah. So that's it for that. And then our final one is shift banning, only two on each side. Your thoughts first.
Love it. Love it. Hated it at first. Strong word, but had to use it because it was just something that I didn't think they necessarily had to take out. But now that I think about it and really sit back and I'm like, all right, this is not going to be here. This is pretty cool because now we're going to see more offense from players that should be better offensively, but they're not because they get robbed from the shift. You're going to see more. You're probably going to bring this up because we talked about it. You're going to see more athletic play from these baseball players because they're going to be forced to move to get to the spot quicker because they're not going to be there right away. And that's how baseball should be played. You shouldn't have like everyone on one side of the field to get one out, and that works. Like it's great. You're using your analytics to strategize to get someone out. However, we want to see some athleticism. You want to bring athletes into this sport. Like I was just saying, you have athletes. Let them be athletes. Let these baseball players be the athletic people that they are because they are athletic, and that's going to open many doors banning the shift. So like this rule a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I'm not a strong like on the shift, but I do like it because I thought about this a lot for a lot like many years because it's always a discussion. Some people are like we need to ban the shift. It's not fun. Like there's a lot of hitters that are very pull heavy, oppo heavy. It affects them a lot. Like one including Joey Gallo. That's gonna affect him. So, but I completely agreed. We did talk about it. The making of more athletic plays, more web gems by very athletic shortstops, third baseman. I think that's going to be the number one take. Maybe not right away, but when we look at it, mid-season next year, we're going to be like, wow, I'm happy we got rid of the shift because we finally are able to see them make these plays instead of somebody hitting a line drive and somebody's in that place already.
Yep,
And
exactly.
there's that, and then but the downside, which I think is the counter argument to it, strategy. It does take away a little bit of strategy, which is a cool part I like about baseball because the shift kind of started back in early 2010s, like being more normalized because the Rays started it, and then kind of got used all over MLB. And it is a good strategy point, but if it's fair, if it's the same for everyone, then I think it's fair.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see. That's exactly what this is all about. These are three big, pretty big rule changes, and we'll just see how the game unfolds from there. It's going to be very interesting. I'm excited. I always like to see what the game can change, even if I don't like it, and just see how it goes. And these are three big things. I'm excited to see how they unfold.
And I'm curious, do you think with the shift, do you think offense will be going up or down?
I think it's going to be very balanced. I think it's going to be a balance of defense and offense. I think offense might go up a little bit. I don't think it's going to be like this huge number, like these huge statistics of offensive production. I don't think it's going to be like that. But it's going to add more balance to the sport, and I think that's very exciting.
Yeah, I think the offense. I agree. I think it'll go up a little bit, maybe a big spike at first, but overall, I don't think it's gonna be much different. And then, so we covered that MVP, Cy Young. Last thing I just want to talk about, Albert Pujols. He's 3 away from 700 home runs. Didn't think he was gonna do it. Like, didn't midway through the year when he did not have many, I thought no chance. If he wants, he's gonna have to come back another year. He's been one of the hottest players in baseball. Will he get it?
Great way to go out on the show. Great final segment. I say yes, Andrew. He needs 3 in 20 games around there. The games part. I think he's gonna do it. And I think it's gonna come at a very dramatic time. And I think it helps this Cardinals this push that they're having. This is a good team, and Pujols is legitimately making them better. And that's what makes this so much more exciting, because he's not only doing it for himself, but like his entire career, he's doing it for his team too. And it's incredible to watch at 42 years old, that he is putting up these kind of numbers, and he is on the doorstep of history. I think he gets it. I think it comes in the last week, and it's going to be super, super theatrical.
Yeah, I think he'll get it well before the last week. He's got 3 weeks to go. He's been on a tear. They put him into pinch hit the
It's
last
going to happen.
homer.
It's going to happen.
It's gonna happen. I don't. It's kind of sad. One of the best players we've ever seen coming to the end
But
of his
it's a
career.
good way to go out.
It is a great way to
It's
go
a
out.
great. It's a headline for the rest of time. It's great. It'll always be a headline if he gets it. If he doesn't get it, if the Cardinals go on a run and they win the World Series, we can talk about how good he was. And then if he hits 700 or not, it's always going to be a story because of the team's success and for how good he's played.
Hmm. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. A little quick news recap episode. We just want to get you guys, back into it. Back at college now, so we're gonna try to be more consistent with the episodes now. Not like in the summer. No trivia question for you guys today. Next time we'll have one. And that's pretty much it. Will, any final thoughts?
It's always a blast coming on here with you, Andrew, all the time. I'm excited to really start getting going more with the Free Baseball Pod. And I'm even more excited to see how this season ends up turning out. It's going to be fun. I'm ready for October baseball. It's one of my favorite times of the year, and we'll be back at it next week.
Yep. And until next time on the Free Baseball Pod, I'm Andrew Mendez. This is Will Tom signing off.